So I want to challenge you. There is no new ideas under this sun that nobody has ever thought of. If you're a businessman, you understand what I'm saying. I'm going to challenge you. When you sit in those lecture halls, don't be an ordinary student. How much do you want what you need? How desperate are you for your country, for yourself, for your family? How desperate are you? How much do you want to succeed? How serious is your thinking about success? I want to make it big. That's hunger to make things happen for you, for your family, for your community, for your people, for your country. Ghana is changing. Some of you, will have this. You'll be surprised. I'm sure you're reading about this Get Found thing, scholarship things. It's all changing. Very soon, those our traditional way of acquiring stuff will go away when systems are in place, which is what Rwanda is doing right now. You go to Rwanda, you don't need to dodge the police or bribe the police. No, it won't work because there are systems in place now. And that's going to happen soon in Ghana. So very soon, we will not be able to acquire stuff through, because I know my uncle is here, my auntie is there, or I know somebody, or I belong to this church, I belong to this party, I belong to this. That will not go, it's not going to happen again. There will be a system that will be checking, and we must account for all our actions. We must account for the things we do. And when you get to that stage, you realize that the only way forward is hard work, where opportunity becomes, access to opportunity becomes the norms for everyone who is really wanting to succeed or to have what is there for the taking. I want to challenge you. If you have not, or you do not want to be the best in your field of study, I want to challenge you tonight. I'm challenging you to start thinking differently. What we are doing at NUGS, the Global Union of Ghanaian Scholars, as you can see, I happen to be the chairman for the UK NUGS, which we call NUGS, the National Union of Ghanaian Student Associations, because it's not Ghana students, because here we have universities that have various student associations across the country. And so the union is those student associations coming together to form the union. So it's the National Association, National Union of Ghanaian Student Associations. And what we are doing is bringing ourselves together, mobilizing ourselves, organizing, so that we will go back one day and contribute to the development agenda of our nation. And you are an integral part of this goal. The UK recently changed their laws. They want nurses here. They want people with special talents, skills that they need in this country. So after your government has trained you, you can come and have a good life here. And our country will continue to remain the same as it is, because all the talented, skilled, and blessed people in our country are needed by other countries. And so we'll remain there with our natural resources, and we'll have foreigners coming to take our natural resources because we cannot process our own natural resources that has been gifted to us. So I want to challenge you. It's not a time to be having fun. What we say in Scotland, where I live, is we work hard and we play hard. So you work hard and play hard. So with this, I want to say to you that we've got a battle on our hands. We must make Ghana proud. We must develop our nation. And I've heard people saying, future leaders, future leaders, future leaders. How many of you know how old Kwame Nkrumah was when he started politics? How many of you know, if you look at their ages, yeah? You look at yourself and you ask the question, why? How come? But I'm not talking about people born in the diaspora, all right? These guys were born in Africa, like Tom Mboya, who chaired, managed the Congress. He was only 28 years old, but when you listen to that man, that young man talking, and that is the man, the boy or the young man who managed all the presidents in Africa coming together, the unions, the corporate organization, you know, including state officials from other countries who came and wanted to be part or was part of the conference. And the person who led that conference, who chaired that conference, who managed and planned that conference was only 28 years old African who were born on the African continent and never left Africa. So if anybody has ever told you that you cannot do it because you sound different or you look different or you were born different on a different planet or continent somewhere or in a country somewhere, tell them they're ignorant. So I'm challenging you because I know I'll meet you again somewhere. There are leaders among us tonight, but I want you to be a different kind of leader. Recently, when the issue happened, the coronavirus issue, you saw some of us, even as far as we are away from you, we were worried. But we heard all kinds of, you know, people sitting in their room, in the comfort of their room, making videos and, you know, coming out with funny stuff. This is about us, our nation, and everything in life. If you ever travel to the UK, you will realize what I mean. Before I came to this country, I thought it was heaven. From Denmark and Norway, I thought, oh, those places were a joke. When I go to UK, yes, Abroche the N1 in London. I got there and realized, oh, okay, it's just that these people know how to sell themselves. And it's all about branding, right? branding. So what are you putting out there about yourself? What information are you giving to people about yourself? What picture are you painting about yourself to people? That's my opinion as a single member of the family, matter than everybody else. Is it because I belong to a particular set of groups or set of, association, church, religion, or politics? So we behave sometimes in a way that everything we work for, or we just trash ourselves and destroy ourselves because we're not disciplined. This is one thing I saw when I came to China. Discipline. Discipline. And I'll tell you again, this is why we are hoping and counting on you. That you have seen it or you're seeing it, and you will learn and learn the right thing. Not everything in China or about the Chinese are superb. But anything that we will add to our own life that will help us become the best, let's copy it. I'm challenging you. Be hungry as if you were born with nothing and you need everything so that you become a blessing to so many. When you see poor people, be angry. When you see needy people, when you hear people saying our country, we cannot take our students from China back to Ghana because Ghana is not capable of looking after their own students because our medical system or facilities in Ghana is not good enough. When you hear sentences or comments like that, be angry for your country and want to change something. It means when you're dying there, your country cannot take you back home because your country does not have what it takes to look after you. So we'll remain beggars even when we're suffering. I want to challenge you. What are you doing to change the situation that we find ourselves in? We are not the future leaders. We are the leaders of today. We're the leaders. In this country, the student movement, I'm part of the student executive in this country, and no politician will come and talk to student or bribe student or mess around with student. No. No education minister will make policies without engaging or involving the students. You cannot go and be talking about a student without their consent. Students are so powerful here because students are not children. So you're not a future leader. You guys are not future leaders. You are the leaders of today. What is happening to you is somebody's told you that you're not old enough to lead yet, or you don't have what it takes to lead. And so you have accepted it. And so we have 80, 90 years old leading us. And because they have everything to lose, they will listen to whatever who else is telling them to keep them in their place. I've got nothing to lose. And you got nothing to lose. But I challenge you, let's strive, let's be hungry enough to build our country, our motherland, Ghana. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's powerful, isn't it? Please, you kindly mute your mic if you are not. Yeah, thank you so much. So, what do we say to the Honorable? What do we say to the Honorable? Thank you so much. I think we'll give some minutes for questions and answers. So please, if you have a question, you can just raise your hand. And Honorable SG, please, I would kindly ask that you moderate that for me.
All right. My name
Of
is
the
David.
questions and the answers. Yeah. So if you have any question, please do raise your hand. Show by the symbol of a hand there, and Honorable SG will call you and ensure that.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Dean, Honorable
Okay.
Derek. I
All
think
right.
I see Musa's hand first from here, and then the next one will be Francis Chiria. Francis Chiria. So Musa, you're up. Honorable Musa, please. Okay. I think he's trying to put his mic together. So Honorable Francis Chiria, you're on.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be part, and then I listened to speech. But my question has to do with our definition and classification of education around the world. I was in Ghana for 1 year. The facts that you study in China, I'm telling you, it's a hell for you to get even accepted in Ghana. You understand? And the president was saying that the government should push a lot of them to that. I'm telling you, except you are a government organization and you came for study, if you go back and trying to fit the same to society, the frustration that is there, telling you, if you are not careful, you just pack your bags and leave the country. You understand? So this is what we need to do. We need to equate all education system on the same pedestal level. And let's assess them on the same equality. They give preference to people from European countries as against those from this part of the world. That's my question.
All right, thank you very much. I think Honorable Mark Mensa is listening, so he addressed. Yeah.
So you are right. If you listen carefully from the beginning, I said the British educational system is judged as the best. Why? Because UK has sold themselves so well to the world. Yeah. Somebody's mic is on and is giving the feedback. Derek. Okay, thank you. Somebody's mic. We 10. Difa. Difa. Okay, thank you. Okay. So the UK sold themselves so high, so well, and everybody. I told you when I was in Denmark studying, when you speak to the guys here, everyone is telling you, actually, I brought you the N1 UK. I went to Norway, the best country. For me, one of the best countries in the world. I said, oh, no, I'm going to the UK. You come here and you realize, oh, is that all? So what these people are good at is selling themselves. And they sell themselves so well. The whole issue is this. What do we need in order to develop our country? Do our leaders know what we need? You see? So when you remain in Ghana, it will be difficult for you to see what is happening in the rest of the world. So we are blessed to have, you know, a lot of our students all over the world learning how education is done in other countries. What we need now is how do we come together so we can have a collective of ideas, and then we can advise the government, you know, on how we think things should be done, or education in Ghana should be done. If you go, like I said, from UK to Ghana with certificate from UK, of course you'll be taken first. I will never employ anyone with educational qualification from the UK, when I have another person with educational qualification, maybe from Germany or China or Malaysia, where I know, you know, they have actually practically practiced what they are taught or what they claim to know. So the system has to change. Those of you in China, you recently realized that about 600 or so universities was transformed by the Chinese government into technical institutions. What is China? What does China need? China have the technical, I mean, they have the population too. They have the factories and the industries. So they need people to operate those factories and the industries, and they have the population. So what do they need? They need to train their people to be able to manage those industries and factories. So that's what they're doing. The leaders are thinking, what do we need? All right? It does not matter. It used to be like that in the UK during the Industrial Revolution years. It was factory, all factories. The people wake up and the town is divided into two. Rich people on one side, ordinary people at the other side. And everybody close, they go. Rich people drive their car, ordinary people have their buses. What do we need? Do our leaders know what we need? Okay, if they don't know, what are we doing, me and you? People keep saying they will not allow you to do anything. No, it is because you're going on your own. If we are organized, did you see what happened when we organized your campaign for the coronavirus? For the first time, you hear Ghana government talking about students, and they were serious about it, even though some were joking about Shito and Kobe and all that. They were serious. We pushed them to send more money to you. We pushed them to do better. We pushed them. They have to beg to say, we don't have enough facility to take our students back. That's what we're doing. When we are together and we are all speaking the same language, no minister, no president will refuse to listen to you. Even in this country, when we are together, you see what happened in the French parliament yesterday. Sarkozy survived a vote of no confidence. Why? Because all the people sitting in the parliament there are the same upper class. So they vote in favor of what they think. But if poor people, people who actually live in the suffering experience, find themselves in that parliament, they will vote against the rich man's idea. Some of these people have some of our ministers never, ever experienced poverty before. So why would they understand what you are going through as a poor person or someone who is struggling? So it's called a living experience. So if you have the living experience and you are together, you organize and mobilize yourself, and you have the numbers. Do you know CNN called, BBC, all these stations called to find out what's going on with the Ghanaian students in China? Because we put up this campaign. Even though most of you didn't help the campaign, which is a shame, but it's a learning process. We're learning. Next time we know that if we are all together, we can make bigger change. And that's what we're to do. We're coming together, and when we are going back home, we're going back home as professionals who are experts in our field, and we will do better. Let them write their reports in Ghana. Let them get whoever write the reports. And then we also mobilize ourselves in the diaspora. We write our report with our living experiences and expertise. And when we put the two reports down, the government will have no choice but will be coming after us. That's where we're going. Whoever is employing that person should know that the time has come. Not only, listen, let me say this controversially, yeah, but don't take me, don't quote me out of context, okay? Most Ghanaians who come to study in the UK or Europe, I'm telling you this because I'm the student leader here. most Ghanaians who come here to study, most of them don't even know the next town. They don't know. All they do, study, because education here is tough, all right? So it's hard work. So they devote all their time and studies from the lecture hall to their hall of residence, lecture hall to the hall of residence, and sometimes go to the shop and buy whatever they need. Rarely will you hear Ghanaians saying, oh, I'm going to Germany for holidays. I'm going to see Norway, travel around. But even Chinese, yeah, you see them traveling all over the countries. Here, going there, going here, traveling. It's called exposure. You need that. Once you have that, certificate is rubbish. So I'll challenge you, don't only sit in the lecture hall. Once again, don't only be an ordinary student. Please don't. Education, as you have rightly put it today, to me, most of you, is about life. And your life is not about certificates. There is more to life than certificates. You are our hope, Ghana's hope. Forget about the old people. Change is a difficult thing, okay? Change is a difficult thing, but it will come slowly. We were blessed to have our president who's lived or studied outside of the country and lived and worked outside of Ghana. And so you see, although most of the people around the president, you know, we are still with this Ghana mindset, but, you know, it takes time. So, but they're pushing. All right, I'm not a politician. I don't like politics too much, but they're pushing. I have to be honest. I like the policies, what they're doing now, because even though it's not reflecting in our pockets, we see that they're putting systems in place. And these systems will help us, me and you, when we go back, we will survive and survive better. Stop. Okay, this is it. Take this. Okay, forget about everything I said today. All right, and just take this final statement from me. Decide from today, yeah, especially my brother who asked the question, decide from today that you're not going back to Ghana to be employed. Yeah, let's start thinking like employers, not employees. All right? It is possible. I'm telling you, it's possible. Let's start thinking, let's start having the employer's mentality and leave behind the employee mindset. The employee mindset makes you poor. It makes you go and, you know, beg someone. It makes you go and encourage corruption and bribery because somebody needs to pay someone before you're employed, you know, in kind or in cash or whatever you do. And I don't want my children to go through that. So we don't want that. So what do we do? What do we do? Listen, what is so painful is that you saw our president travel around the world inviting Africans to come to Ghana. Some came and had passports and all that, citizenship and all that. I saw an advert on the television, and this is what I've been saying to people over and over again for years. Americans came to Ghana and saw the sponge. You see the sponge we use in washing or cleaning ourselves? Did you see the advert they made from the sponge? It's called branding. The same sponge they put in a box, colored box, nicely, covered it, and then you had these two people talking about the sponge, and everybody wanted to buy the sponge. How long have we had this sponge for in Ghana and we didn't even know its value? So again, it's not about certificates, it's about exposure. Do you know what's going on around you and the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable Francis, I hope your question has been dealt with. Honorable Musa, are you back? Is the mic on? I think for the sake of time, let's just take the questions of these three people who have raised their hands. Honorable Musa, are you back on? Okay, not yet. Honorable Chafundemi, you are on.
Okay, hello, Mr. Mensah. So,
Mark Mensah, because I am Scottish, so my Mensah has MC attached to it from the beginning.
Hello.
MC.
Yeah,
hello, Mr. Mark
yes.
Mensah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, when FOCA was organized, I had the privilege of meeting some of the ministers, and I'm a data scientist. So,
good.
In Ghana, we don't have that system. We don't have data. We can argue politically, but on the grounds we don't. And recently, Google have only seven data centers in the world, and they've chosen Ghana to build a data center there. I don't know whether you've heard about it, but they've chosen Ghana to build a data center.
Yeah.
So the whole of Africa, they saw only Ghana. And Ghana, we are not seeing the value of data we have in our country. So I and my colleagues, we had a rough discussion on some fufu we're eating. So when that time came, I had the opportunity to speak to one of the ministers. I spoke to Mr. Alantre Martin and Mr. the secretary to the senior man. We don't have data, and in order to develop our country well, we need to know our people. The only thing they ask me is, where are you? Which party are you? Which party are you? I was like, I'm at my own party. You know, some of these things we have been trying to help our country, but our elderly are not supporting us. Even though I'm in school, I have 5 different companies looking for me. Ghana don't need me. So, and I need to survive too. So where they need my skill, that's where I go. And even our students too, we don't push each other. To be very frank with you, I'm the provincial coordinator for Beijing, and I can stand on my feet today, right now, to tell you that we don't support ourselves as students in China here. So if you have students pushing you back, people you know, and you have the government officials to turn you down for your proposals. Some of these issues, how do you go about it? Even though we all want a better place for our children and our grandchildren and our people, how do you go about it? Because I strongly have great passion for my country. Yeah. If you speak bad about my country, that's worse for you. What I'll tell you about your country is worse. So how do we go about some of these things? Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Mark Manson, please,
yes,
I don't know if you could wait for Vivo X6A to also ask, and then you address both questions together.
Sure,
all right,
sure.
Vivo X6A.
Thank you, Honorable Mark Manson, for the presentation. It was really an insightful lecture. I would like to find out, in fact, we have a lot of responsibilities to our country, Ghana as individuals, at the same time, collectively. I would like to begin by just giving a quote from JF Kennedy, former president of the United States. It says that we shouldn't ask what our country can do for us, but what we can do for our country. And so based on this, I would like to say that we are here to educate ourselves, but not just for individual benefit, but for Ghana. Then to my question. But before that, I think your opening remarks, you made a very important statement that I think we should keep it in mind, that we shouldn't go for fishes, but we should look at how to learn to get the fish ourselves. That's very important. Then to my question. In Ghana, we have had a lot of transformations or changes to our education system for some years now, since independence, but we have not actually developed to the extent that we want. If we give an example of South Korea, Singapore, even China we are right now, all these countries were in the same level as Ghana, okay? But as we talk, we cannot compare Ghana to these countries because they have progressed so fast. But 40 years now, they have progressed so fast. But Ghana is still somewhere down there. Now, my question is it that we need to change our education system to what I call STEM, that is science, math, and technology, so that we can kind of progress fast to reach them? Or do we have to still maintain our white-collar job system of education, whereby everybody wants a white-collar job? So when you go to school, you need to study, get your master's, or your PhD, or your certificate, then you go start looking for a job. Because our system, as we have today, does not train people to be independent of entrepreneurs, like you were saying, create jobs for ourselves instead of be job seekers. So I just want to find out what is your opinion about this? Should we change our system to technical-based education that will train more manpower that are technically oriented for the country, or we should continue with this trajectory of white-collar job trainees, whereby they come out, it's not helping our economy? And so that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, your name.
My name is David Ajene Alemzero. I'm at Johnson University.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Moderator, is that me now?
Yes, please. You are on. Sorry, I should have.
All right.
Okay, you are on, please.
That's okay. So thank you, David, and thank you, Chifondami, is it?
Yeah, Chifondami, yes.
Okay, what's your name? What's your real name, please?
That's the name.
That's my name.
Yeah,
right.
That is right.
But you have two names.
I think, yeah.
I don't want to call the English one. I just want to leave my name.
That's very good. That's
Okay,
very good.
excellent. Yeah.
Of course, you to
I wasn't given an African. My name was. Well, I grew up and I was asking, why was I not given an African name before they finally go and find my original birth certificate somewhere and then I realized my name, my African name is Kodie. And I was asking, what's the meaning of Kodie? Well, I realized, okay, it was Eagle. I'm like, yeah, that's a good name to have. So African names are important. Yeah, this is what they did to us, isn't it? They took away everything we had and changed our entire destiny. Now Africa has to be playing catch up. But thank God for guys like you. We will get there. Trust me, we will get there. And if you see people fighting for your country and they're killing them, you must know that there is something there. Why would anybody be chased and killed because they are calling for their people to get united? Why is every African leader who speaks for African is deemed an evil, a corrupt, bad person by the West? Because the West want to be always there. And so we will see ourselves as we are second-class citizens of this, even not second-class, last citizens of this entire world. So you have a challenge. And again, I'll say it to you, please don't be complacent. Don't take no for an answer, and don't relax because you do not have enough. Yeah, push for the best. Okay, thank you. Data analyst. We need you, Charlie. We need you seriously in Ghana. Who knows how Facebook became, the founder became rich or became Facebook? Yeah, it was one opportunity. Somebody was having their normal traditional stuff and say, hey, we need our old student association to have a platform so that they could be mingling with each other, blah, blah, blah. And the man saw the idea, like I said to you from the beginning, there is no new idea under the sun. Yeah. So he just developed it. That's exactly what's happening to China, where you are. China is not coming up with any new idea. China is only developing ideas based on some people's principles or theories. And they are paying anything to get knowledge. They will pay for it. Ghana is not ready because we are all not ready. Believe me, you don't have to go to America or anywhere. Americans are going to Ghana. Chinese are going to Ghana. Israelis are fighting to be part of Ghana. Arabs are fighting to be accepted in Ghana. But they've made us to think that Ghana is no good. The only people who think Ghana is no good is us, because we have psychologically been trained to think that way for years, centuries. I'm going to say this to you guys. I see a lot of our diasporan youth going back to Ghana, and when you ask them, what are you doing? They come and say they're entrepreneur and business people, and they are doing business and doing that and doing that. And they go, and when they tell you what they're doing, I ask myself, why not our youth in Ghana doing the same thing? Why not our youth in Ghana thinking this way? You have the knowledge. Let me tell you what I fear most. What I fear will happen to us most is that even with our education from abroad or in the diaspora, we'll go back home and we'll be employed by foreigners who are feeding us with our own natural proceeds from our natural resources. That's what I fear most, and it's actually happening. You have Chinese employing Lebanese employing Ghanaians and treating them anyhow, Chinese employing Ghanaians and treating them anyhow, and now it's so bad that Chinese are saying that Ghanaians' mindset or attitude towards work is rubbish, so they must bring their own people from China. That's how useless we are becoming. Sorry to say this. But if somebody comes to your country and said, even the labor force in your country is not good enough for them to use, they must go and bring their own labor force, then you know there is something not quite right, is it? There's something not quite right. And the same labor force, the clever ones among us who are talented and blessed with gifts, are being exported to other countries to go and help. We have Ghanaians in the banks here, in the science labs, and you know, in the city where they have all these financial institutions, you know, Ghanaians, massive Ghanaians everywhere. Everywhere, Ghanaians everywhere. My son once said to me, he wanted to know why is it that when work is over, yeah, and the offices are closed, the only people you see cleaning the offices are Black people. So I challenged him and I took him to the Barclays back here, and I said, no, there are Black people who are in the banks too. And he said, but you don't see them at the counter. And I said, yes. So we went when the Barclays has closed. And at the back door, when people are coming out to drive their cars, the Black people are there, coming, some going with their bags, some driving their cars, but you don't see them at the counters. You don't see them at the entrance. My son only saw them cleaning. And so that is recorded in his mind, that Black people only do cleaning. And they keep looking at me as if I'm weird. Why do you keep talking about millions and being big, being CEO, and you know? Because what you see, what you hear, what you read, what you practice is what you become. Where are our mentors? Who are our leaders? So if you being chased after by 5 companies Do you know how many companies and institutions were chasing after Kwame Nkrumah when he finished his studies in the US? If you're being sought after and you decide to go because man ma chop, because you're thinking about your family. Yes, it's obvious, but at some point, we must think about our country. Because I tell you this, whether you like it or not, nobody will build your home for you, whether you like it or not. You go to Zimbabwe, the whites lived there for so long, they were farming, and so the country remained a farming country forever. The only places that were developed were the places where the white people lived. You go to South Africa, it's the same. Where they live is where they develop. You come to Ghana, they were there. You talk about independence, yes. So how come they lived there so long and yet they didn't develop your country? Because nobody builds anybody's home for them. The Chinese are going to Ghana, everybody is complaining, yeah, blah, 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 and then, what do they call it? Galamsey, blah, blah, blah. Yes, because they are there to grab something for themselves. They don't care about your country. Who cares about your country? It's you. You said in your statement that if anybody say anything bad about your country, warn them. Yes? Is that enough? Can you now go a bit further, an extra mile, to sacrifice and say, I'm a data scientist. Hey, where are the rest of the data scientists from Canada, Australia, UK? Let's come together and let's set up a consultancy so that we will be feeding Google in Ghana. How do we do that? We have to go to Parliament, lobby our parliamentarians to make sure that Google do not come to Ghana and make profits at the back of our sweat, but Ghanaian companies must be involved in whatever transaction, whatever business is going on there. The priority must be given to our Ghanaian owned companies, and that we can do only when we come together. Thank you. Now, about education, David, I salute you. We need to change the educational system.
Yes.
To change the educational system, Finland has shown to everyone that it's not a rocket science.
Yes.
Yeah. All we need to do is to start early and start well.
Right.
What is it that you need, your country? What is it that you need? What does your people need? Then you design your educational system around that. That's all we need to do. So what we need now is not about putting the current educational system we have aside. In fact, the people we copied from are also confused. They are not using it anymore. So why are we holding on to it anyway? The British are no more using this archaic system of education, where you chew and pour and know nothing. You can only talk. The British are no more using it. What we need to do is to make sure, did you hear, how many of you heard what the German Chancellor said to the doctors and the scientists who were asking about the teacher's salary? Yeah? He said none of them sitting in the room there can compare themselves to teachers, because the teacher taught them all. And that is why they pay the teacher higher than any other profession in Germany. Norway the same, Sweden the same. So when you're devoting your time teaching, yeah, you need first class or upper to go to a teacher training. What do you need to go to a teacher training in our country? It's all about policy. It might be unpopular to many, yeah, but it's fine. We are all not the same. All right? To be honest with you, I knowing myself now, if I were born in in a European country or so, growing up, I would never ever go to university. I shouldn't go to university because I'm a practical person, but I've been forced and trained to become, you know, that's what it is. So I sit there and I can look at you. You can sit there in the midst of everything. I'll come there and see business opportunities everywhere around you, but people don't see it because we are all different. The same way my son can look at something and then he said, Dad, can you see that? Can you see art? He can look in the crowd and see, and you can see that he's blessed with artistic stuff, you know, and straight away, all I'm thinking is you either become an architect or, you know, go into something to do with arts, and that's it. But if I want to be like my dad, I would say, hey, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer. And that's exactly what our leaders are doing to us. So what we need to do now is to see which educational system is best for us at this age now that we have natural resources. Yeah, it will not be the same with Dubai. Yeah, United Arab Emirates will not be training their students to become, you know, practical, you know, knowledgeable people. No,
The service industry
because they
there.
don't have natural resources. They apart from the crude oil,
Yes, Koreans.
and maybe the sunshine and the wind. So we need to think. We have gold, we have diamond, we have bauxite, we have everything. We have even our cocoa. Oh my days. Cocoa is worshipped in South Korea. And in Ghana, we don't even care about it.
That's a great point there. As for cocoa, you know, we've not done anything to cocoa. So
you know, and then we sit there. I'm challenging you guys again. I'm challenging you. I stopped work
And even
going to court to be here with you guys today. I'm challenging you. Don't take this talk we're having today, this conversation, for granted. Don't take it for granted. Don't become too complacent. Don't take life too easy. Life is not a joke. If anybody tell you life is not a war, tell them to shut up. Life is a war. You tell me, if life is not a war, why would somebody come to your country and kidnap your people, chain them to go and use them on the farms? Today, their countries are good. You come here and you worship them. Why would they come and impose their language on you? Why would they come and force you? Even our leaders today are controlled by the West. If you mess up, Donald Trump and co will come with their bombs and they'll blast you. If life is not war, you tell me. We are made to think that everything is easy, and it's not. And I'm telling you, at my age now, I have seen a lot, and I can tell you, life is not a joke. Whether you're doing business or not, this is why a lot of people go into business thinking, all I need is to just start a business, and then, you know, the system is there, and then I will start getting money. No.
I have a question.
As we are talking now, somebody is sitting somewhere planning. Why should, think about it, why should companies come up every day, especially in the UK here, and said they made 5 billion profit? Why? Company profit, after all their salary and everything, they make 5 billion. You think it's normal? Life is not easy. As we're talking now, there are factories, they know people are creating stuff that people will eat. They know it will kill them, but they need profits.
I have a question.
You know, so please don't take life for granted at all. If you see people, I don't care whether they are white or black, and come to your country and they're jumping around and you're worshiping them. Stop it. Let's start thinking differently.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you. We'll take the last set of questions, and that would pick from those who sent up here. We have, I think, Frank Motion and Eben. So we'll give Eben and Frank Motion the chance to ask their questions, and then we'll wrap up.
Oh my God.
Yes, and Honorable Dean, there is one more, Honorable de Graaf from Shanghai. I think he is not able to raise a hand here, but he would want to put a statement across, more like a submission, not really a question.
A question.
So,
Okay.
Honorable de Graaf, are you here?
Yes, I am. Yes,
okay,
I'm here.
please put your submission, and then we will take the final questions, and then Honorable Matt Manson will address, and then we close.
Okay. Sir, thanks so much for the advice and all that you've given us this evening so far. I think it has been deep and very interactive. My submission actually has to do with the current youth and how we are so entangled in politics, rather than correcting the mistakes of our leaders currently, like as in past and current administrations. I think politicization has actually crippled most of our good initiatives, including the Yes Initiative, the GIDA, etc. I believe that these initiatives were in the right direction to reducing unemployment and then ensuring that it increases industries even within the country, because when all these initiatives were introduced, if it wasn't politicized, like by now it would have reduced unemployment to a certain level. So I believe as a youth, we should try our best to push initiatives that build upon existing rather than being politically motivated. And secondly, I also believe the existence of weaker systems is our main detriment towards growth. If we could strengthen our systems, including security, transportation, and industrial enhancement, just like countries like China has done over the past years, it would really help Ghana, because looking at our country, we have like everything. We have all the resources, we have the human labor force. Research indicates that, like currently, there are lot of the youths back home are into entrepreneurship than other sorts of employment. But looking at the sort of entrepreneurship like that they do, it doesn't really contribute anything towards Ghana's growth. So I think what the government can do best is to stop the politicization of even critical issues within the country that is meant to enhance development. If there could be a system whereby initiatives such as the Yes Initiative, the GIDA, etc., could be revamped to assist even current entrepreneurs to ensure that they don't rely more on government jobs, but you bring an initiative which is meant to solve a social problem, then you are given an assistance. These initiatives, I think, can help towards growth, reduce unemployment, ensure that the average Ghanaian is better off. Like with these systems in place, I don't think people would want to travel out. If there are financial assistance for even people who bring up entrepreneur like us in ideas, if there are support, like maybe tax incentives for individuals who bring up ideas of ingenuity, I think these ideas can also go a step further to reducing unemployment and ensuring a sound economic growth within the country, rather than right now when you go on Facebook, you see the youth like supporting the government, whether good or bad, just because they get a tip. I don't know what influences most of our decision, but the only submission I want to make is, as a youth, we should be focused on initiatives that is meant to grow the nation rather than just following politics. Thank you.
Thank you. Politics is not bad. Okay? Politics is not bad.
Honorable Matt Mensah,
can we
please, I would suggest we
together,
take the questions together and then you answer.
Okay, sir. Okay,
So
sir.
I have a question.
Thank you. All right.
So I think
Honorable Dean, please moderate for me.
Yeah, okay. So Honorable Frank Motion and Honorable Eben, please, you can go ahead with your question. But first, let's take that of Honorable Frank Motion.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Before I go on with my question, somebody asked about STEM. Let me quickly add something to it. Because I've been a teacher for some years before coming here. And you know, the issue has to do, we have this STEM for long. There's one thing developing the curriculum, another thing implementing the curriculum. And then there's also another thing, teachers implementing the content knowledge of the curriculum. You know, you cannot implement the content knowledge without the appropriate teaching and learning materials. That one cannot happen. And that one has gone on for so many years, of which our leaders are not seeing that, but rather they keep on changing it. But you know, when you change it and then you don't add the necessary equipment to it, there is no way you can achieve the purpose of the curriculum. And now let's look at the curriculum of the universities in Ghana. Now what they are doing is that they only need money, because now you have Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology going into joining University of Cape Coast and the University of Education to run the basic education system. That is trying to share the number of teacher training colleges that we have in Ghana to run their courses for them, of which under normal circumstances, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology is to run engineering programs for Ghanaian students and other students outside. And if you look at University of Cape Coast, now they're also going into sciences. How can we develop a country like this? And look at University for Development Studies, also running education programs. So that is how the problem is coming about. And now let me come back to my question. I've realized that the management of education institutions is now politically handed or politically motivated, and therefore it's trying to cripple the whole educational system. Now my question is, if you write letters to them, they don't reply. I've written to a lot of institutions in Ghana, they don't seem to reply. So what can I do as an educationalist to also push forward so that the current management of education in Ghana can at least be independent, devoid of any political interference? Now we have this new curriculum. Could you imagine that there is absolutely no ICT from KG to lower primary? I mean, from KG to primary 3. There is no ICT. I've sent an email to NACA, no reply. I've written, I just don't understand why they should develop a curriculum without ICT for primary 1 to 3 or even KG. How can we do that? So my question once again, how can I continue to push forward so that the management of education institutions can be independent? Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. Okay, so Mr. Eben, please can you also ask your question?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Ebenezer Nixon. I'm here in Nanjing. I'd like to say hello to my president, Derek. I would like to say it's very unfortunate that out of the whole lot of students we have in Nanjing, current number of people participating in this program is not even up to 100. So you look at such useful resource and it's getting to only a few people. So this even gives us a very long way to go, because only Nanjing chapter, we are more than even 300. But very quickly, let me come to, I've been preparing some things, but a colleague spoke about jobs. So let me quickly make my submission. There is something I've realized, and I've heard a few presidents talk about, that a nation is not built by its government, but it is built by the individual, to be specific, the private sector. And that is why this trade war, when you realize that when this trade war started, it started between 2 private companies, Huawei in China and Google or some other individuals in America. We realized that because the government realizes that a nation is built by its private sector, the Chinese government is, some people are expressed so much. They are supporting Huawei, but you never see them come back out clearly. But unfortunately, we see Donald Trump coming out to, he made an unfortunate statement. I will say that later on. To my fellow colleague on this platform, I will say, if we can be able to move to the next hurdle, we need to start thinking about partnership in the view of entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, most of us have great ideas. This is a presentation I wanted to present to my Nanjing people, but for some few things I decided to hold on. So let me share it here. For some few reasons, our nation is not moving forward and talent and ideas are dying simply because we fail to recognize that there are different forms of entrepreneurship. Sometimes someone may have the idea, but another person may have the resource. And unfortunately, we fail to reconcile or come together, the person with the idea and the person with the resource together in order to get themselves established. Look at Facebook. I always tell people, Facebook was not solely developed by Mark Zuckerberg. There were a whole lot of people who were in the background working with him, but he was the forerunner of what he said. And look at how far it come. And these people are benefiting. So to just cut it short, I'm trying to encourage, Seri, please, sorry, my kids are all over the place. So what I'm saying is that my fellow colleagues, my fellow intellectuals, let us find ways to come together if we want to move to the next hurdle. Let us not think about only ourselves. If you have the idea, I may have the resource. Let us see how we can harness ourselves together and move. Because what I realize here is that there are a whole lot of companies, like my brother is saying, here in China. And these companies are looking for other available markets. And trust me, we have the available market, but how do we come together to persuade them that, look, we are ready as a team to take you to our country, provide some form of resources. You also bring your resources and let's get ourselves established. Or we can find these initiatives or companies that have started here that 2, 3, 4 of us can come together, put our resources, and then we can be able to start these companies gradually in as small as possible form in order for us also to become whoever big name we want to become in the future. So please, let us think in this direction in the view of what my senior colleague is saying. Entrepreneurship in the direction of partnership. Let us recognize that one man chopper wouldn't help us. And that is what has brought our nation to this not far, I'll put it. I usually tell people, look, I have land. I can provide, how do you call it, wholesale or storage or offices or whatever. Whatever you have, let's come together. I realize that those people I talk to, they have greater potentials, but they don't have resources. But unfortunately, sometimes they recognize their potentials as the leading, how do you call it, idea, which is very superior to maybe my menial resources I'm providing. But we could have gone far if we had come together with this. So please, all I'm saying is that we are all ready. The way forward is partnership, because I don't have much, you don't have much. And then gradually we will become the next level or the market to grow. Because remember, it is Huawei, it is Alibaba, it is Taobao, it is Pinduoduo, they are making China whoever China is. The Chinese government is only providing policies, workable policies, resources, and then providing a platform for them. So if we are waiting for the government to absorb us, please, we will do the masters, we'll do the PhD, we'll do whatever it is, and trust me, we'll go and still, there'll be nothing for us. Thank you very much.
Well said, Dr. Eben. Okay, so to round it up for Honorable McMason, I would say that someone wrote something a very long time ago, and his question is this. He said, I want to thank the speaker for his thoughts. The speaker said we need systems in Ghana, to which I agree with, but do we only need systems? What change does system bring without the change of mindset? Mindset is everything. Let's not only talk about systems, but change of mindset as well, from Mr. Musa. Thank you. So, Honorable Mark Mensah, please, these are the questions on board, and can address them.
Thank you very, very much, Derek. I genuinely, let me use this opportunity once again to thank you and your able assistant who is moderating the questioning section. I also want to salute our president, Felix Ado, and his entourage, his executives, who I'm sure they're preparing for me coming to China. It's going to be butu when I come to China next time. So prepare. Nanjing, I've been there. So, Dr. Eben, I'm not coming to Nanjing this time. I'll go to Shanghai. So just be ready for me. But hey, guys, let me tell you, yeah, it's exciting times. This time, you should be really excited to be a Ghanaian, yeah? Even those who have never stepped foot on America, they were taken to Ghana, they got to Ghana, they started crying, and they got down and kissed the ground, yeah? It's not ritual, it's not that, it's coming from inside, yeah? These people have been told they are nothing. They've been bullied and punished and tormented by the system just because they are Black, they are connected to Africa, and then finally they come to Africa and realize, well, Africa is not actually a jungle. And they started, you know, they feel good about themselves, and I really appreciate us. Let me tell you one thing. Martin Luther King said something. You know, they were fighting for equality and right for Black people in the state for so long. They saw Britain and America as, you know, untouchable forces, that there is nothing you can do to challenge the system. And then from nowhere, this guy came from Africa, watched them, visit their meetings, and watch them shout, hey, 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 and he was there watching. And he came back to the UK and mobilized, and they mobilized here. The force was started by Nigerians. He joined the Nigerians and said, hey, let's do it Africa. It was Africa. They started chatting in Manchester. They had their first meeting. When Ghana had independence, Americans cried. All the civil rights tycoons, gurus, they were asking, how did this ordinary African man did it? Because they were taught to underrate Africa. Anybody and anything from Africa is rubbish. Yeah? But we've had the president who united Africa in a way. We had a Black man who had the United Nations from our country. We had so many of them we can talk about. I don't know who is telling you what. I will say this again. You have more than it takes to be great, guys. Yeah? Now, when you have leaders who have, I'm very careful here. I'm not disrespecting anybody, okay? Some of our leaders are not sure of what to do with the system we have in Ghana. You spoke about the universities coming together, thinking about, so what is happening is this. They have no ideas, but they need money. Yeah, so they have to find a way, which is what we call survival of the fittest, okay? So they are big, so they are muscling their strength around to get whatever they can get. And so that's what they are recycling ideas from other ordinary poor people, which is what, as you know, to some extent, the West did to us as Africans as well. Most of the medicines we take today, the knowledge from those medicines, how the medicine came about, were stolen from Africans, ordinary Africans who were using herbs. All right, so this is what it is. That's what our leaders are doing. They're looking for ideas. So if any leader tell you that you're not important, they're joking. You start talking to them, and if you're making sense, look at how they look at you and how they will take you, what they take you for. So don't underrate
Where was
yourself
the
and don't let anyone underrate you. What we need, of course, somebody said, is the change of mind. And I've said that in my statement. But do you know, let's talk about it. Do you know where that change of, where that mindset came from? We don't know, do we?
Please, who is talking behind the scenes? Can you please mute your mic?
It's almost, I think by now it should be done.
Thank you. So let me dive a little bit, okay? Let's do a little bit of history and psychology here. The white man came to Africa and they saw the Africans and they realized Africans had everything, including weather. And they thought we don't know the value of what we have. But they decided to encourage us to give them what we have. In the process, they realize there is an opportunity for them to rule the world. They're thinking, this country, United Kingdom, has invested a lot and they are still investing in education. Research, they do that a lot. Yeah? There are institutions you don't even hear about because they are not educational institutions. They are specialist institutions. Some of them, their work is just research. They are hidden somewhere in a building, somewhere. What they do is research. Yeah? And how do we do this? So what they did to us is to first of all erase our history. All right? They whitewashed our history. And then they gave us psychologically something nobody wants to be part of. How many of you here, when you're associated with a slavery story, you're happy? Because you've never been slaves, have you? But when the white people are saying slave, 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 independent from slavery and whatever, and then they put all of us together, to the extent that even now blacks against blacks in America is a big thing. Intellectuals are fighting. Let me tell you, I told you life is war, all right? And life, which is associated to education, or education which is associated to life, is all about this one. Yeah? This is all it is about, the brain. So it's a battle of the mind. Whoever wins that battle is the greatest. It's a mind game. So they play the mind game on us. And they're still playing the mind game on us. All right? So psychologically, we are inferior. Even though naturally, we are the best. Nature gave us everything. Even our structure. Yeah, you look at African women, the shape. Yeah? Look at the African man. Yeah? Even the DNA, our DNA, the system is different. Even the biological makeup of the African, we're the best. But the white man and their institutions sat down and say, how do we make these people realize that they're not the best, so that they would think we are rather the best? And this is not a Nancy story, okay? This is serious story I'm talking to you about. If anybody tells you that as a president, you should come and deposit 80% of all you have as money in their bank, in their country, and if you don't do it, they will overthrow you because they have enslaved you before. And you accept that the fact that it's enslavement is a good thing they gave you, so you must obey them. You think it's normal? Whilst your people are dying and someone is forcing you to bank all your money with them. They use it anyhow they want, whenever they want. Now, some of us, the young people, need to learn some of this, because sometimes when you see your leaders, we see our leaders, we think, oh, Nana Akufo-Addo, oh, Kufuor, oh, Rawlings, oh, this Mahama, oh, they're not doing this, oh, they're not doing this. When you get into those boardrooms, yeah, and you see what happened or hear what happened there, you realize what I said to you again. And I said, remember that life is war. How many of you know the issue about Donald Trump and the Ukrainian leaders? If you listen to the tape where this mafia president is mafiaing the other president, same, you listen to Joe Biden also in his tape. If you think the leadership up there is a joke and it's all about prayer or going to the church or the mosque and being a good person, which is what has caused Africa so badly for so long. Angels don't lead, and leaders will never be angels. There's so much happening out there that we are not told because we are not, and we cannot even handle it. So if we have systems, they are good, but we need people to manage those systems. And for people to manage those systems well, the mindset must be right. You're right. But the African mind is gone. There's something called consciousness. And I keep saying it's everything. You can't even measure it because everyone's consciousness is different. The level is different. I know until I came to this country from 2011, I didn't even understand who I was as an African. So there is so much to learn about life. Why you think the way you think, why you behave the way you behave. It's not your fault. Somebody has invested so much to make sure you see yourself the way you see yourself. Was it not China? We saw a video being about you know, this what do you call it, about an exhibition about Africans being compared to animals. You know, we saw this video coming up and stuff like that. You guys are there. So what is China doing? China is just training the young and their people to think about you as animals. And China is only copying from the Romans and the Greeks and the Europeans and Americans, what they have done. Because it worked. China has seen that it worked for these people. So psychologically, what has happened to us is that who we are has been taken away from us. And something else has been given to us so that we'll continue to serve the masters. Most of you will not understand this, so I don't talk about it because it's a bit too deep. All right? You think people say, stop blaming the white people, stop blaming the white people. Of course. So France should be on his own and leave the French-speaking African countries alone. There will be no country called France. So somebody's existence is dependent on you. So they must make sure that you obey them. And to do that, psychologically, they must apply the rules. The fear of God, which is what they've done to us. Whether you like it or not. When your minister refuses to accept what they are saying, and your minister want to travel, and they refuse them visas, and they go and threaten your minister's family, and the next time your minister travel, they look for news somewhere, bad news, and grab them somewhere and say they're jailing them because they've done something. All kinds of things happen that we cannot discuss because we're not at that point, we're not there, so we can't talk about it. But all I'm trying to say to you is that, okay, let's look at it from this angle, okay? So Psychologically, we need to change this one because somebody is giving us a different mindset. Psychologically, you're happy to be where you are. Do you remember some of the videos we saw about people posting from China about this evacuation thing, campaign that we set up? Some people, like somebody was saying plainly about government politics, we should take politics out of the, our lives as youth. Yes, there is nothing bad with politics, but the way politics is done with some people and by some people is the problem. Politics is done in this country. Yes, of course. It's done everywhere. Politics is life. Your politics is just like selling. Everything about your life is politics. But how do you do it? Everything about your life is selling and marketing. But how do you do it? What method are you using? Who is doing what to you in terms of selling or in politics? And do you understand it? So this is what I said. Education is not just about reading and writing exams and getting certificates. Education is mainly exposure. Exposure to life. Exposure to your welfare and well-being. Exposure to your existence. What is happening around you in other places where you cannot be or you've ever been there, but what are they doing differently? So in short, when the white man realized that the black people have history, but the white man wanted to be the superior one, they did everything. You're not black, but you accept the fact that you're called black because somebody said you're black. And what did they do? Everything negative is associated to black. Remember, we were not born with the word black or English. Yeah, we didn't grow up just understanding English. Yeah, as somebody's language, an idea, somebody's culture. So when you say black, and everything black is bad, and then you're called black. Psychologically, I didn't understand some of these things until I started having children. The way my children think, and when they ask questions, then I'm like, okay, so this is what a white man has done to us. To be frank with you, my friends, sometimes I clap for the white man. They invested so much into where they are today. And without sacrifice, write that word down, without sacrifice, there is no victory. Sacrifice, which is so difficult, there is no victory. The system is messed up.
Yeah, blood must be shed.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. There is nothing you can do in that regard, okay? What you can do is mobilize yourself, organize yourself, and do your thing. We have gold, isn't it? Somebody wants gold. If you want to buy gold, come to Africa. And this is how much we are selling it. Whether you like it or not, you can go. I have the gold. It's not going to rot. I have the diamond. Yes. What did China do to the rest of the world, especially America? We have the population. We have trained them. If you want to use them, come and have the factories in China. You bring your knowledge. Oh, then we have to sign intellectual property agreement and blah, blah, blah. Okay, we sign it. And yet the people go there and the people learn. If you do something for so long, do you need to record it with video? No, you've done it for so long. You go out there and then one or two come together. They set up their own factory. We can do that. I'm telling you again, guys, we are counting on you. We're counting on you. You're there. Nobody will arrest you for spying. So still as many as you can in your head. Once it's in your head, nobody can take it out. Once you get here in your memory, nobody can take it out. Come together. Yes, we will come together. So let me tell you where we are right now with this mobilization.